Alan May, Caps analyst on Monumental Sports Network. Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Alan, are you there, buddy? I'm punching him up.
I just lost you. I lost you for a second. You got me back?
Yeah, we got you. Hey, buddy, how are you?
What time did you get to bed last night?
You know what? I've been being kinder to myself, so I just went straight home, and unfortunately, I ended up watching. There was 2 late games, Edmonton and L.A. Edmonton had a miracle comeback, but lost in overtime, and then Dallas is one of my teams as well. So I watched the end of the Dallas game, and that was spectacular. So whenever that ended, I hit bricks.
Oh, you stayed up.
So heading into overtime, I watched you guys a lot more muted, obviously, on set. What was your gut feeling heading into that overtime?
Well, I think I believed in them still that they were playing the right way, and they made just a couple of minor errors that ended up leading to the game being tied. And, for 50 minutes of that game, they dominated. Mm-hmm. They went hard. There was some excellent goaltending by Montembeault, or however you pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he kept them in the game.
I thought he was really good last night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was worried at the start. I was like, they were playing so well. They were knocking the hell out of the Canadians, and they were just, getting point blank, like grade A opportunities, and they were unable to score. And a lot of times what you've seen in the history of the game, and when I'm with Bruce Boudreau, he's one of the worst for this. He goes, I worry about that because now that team's close and it means they're in it. It means you're giving them a little bit of belief. And, Montreal, they're young enough and they're dumb enough to believe that they can win every game. And that is awesome, in my opinion, when you have a team that never feels like they're out of it.
Alan, what did you make of Logan Thompson's return? I thought the second goal, he was way out of position on that. Can you give us some insight as to why he may have been so far out of the crease there? But overall, he was really good. Stopped 33 of the 35 shots that he faced
that's an outstanding
last night
return.
After a pretty long layoff.
You sound like you're complaining about a mole on Cindy Crawford, but I thought he was sensational. And on the second goal, it was a calamity of errors, and he really had to overplay that because of how out of position and the puck was bouncing all over the place. And if it goes to anyone else but Nick Suzuki, they probably would have shot. Well, and we'll say Cole Caulfield wouldn't have shot that puck. He's a goal scorer, would have waited and had the patience and the poise to outweight the goaltender. But I wasn't sure, and I'm going to take another look at it today from different camera angles as to whether Connor McMichael may have went through and pushed Logan through the net, because he was part of that comedy of errors at the same time. And, it just led, one mistake was leading to another. And that there was about a minute and a half there where the game got away from the Capitals as far as the structure of what they were doing all game. And the great thing is it wasn't forced by Montreal. It's a very fixable error or two. And, they'll clean that part up. I'm confident, because I saw so many things that I liked in the first 50 minutes of the game and then all of the overtime that, Spencer and his coaching staff obviously picked up over the season, said, we're going to use this. I like this. We're going to do this. Someone used something against them, and they implemented that in their own game. So I liked all that. And then as far as Logan, once again, he came out last night, and right from the get-go, he looked confident. His team looked confident in him, and he looked like he was well rested and ready to go.
Were you surprised that he went with him?
When I saw him in the starter's net at practice, and he'd been on the ice now, I think it was over, it's longer, about a week. He'd been on the ice every day. And you know what? I believe in loyalty to your players and your team. And I thought Charlie Lindgren was sensational down the stretch as well. But 31, 6, and 6 was Logan Thompson over the course of the season. You play him, you get a win. You force everyone to play well. Basically, everyone did play well. And it's a matter of, everyone combining an effort that was very successful for the majority of the season. And they went out and they played. So many players upped their game. And you could tell that this group of guys was actually waiting for the playoffs to start. They couldn't continue to play every game as though it was a playoff game like they were at the start of the year. They would have been worn out. And last night, it looked like they had been saving it. They had energy all game long. Logan looked, like I said, sensational, but it was a top-notch effort from everyone.
Yeah, one of those guys that stepped up was Biovale, who had to with Protas out, and he
was really good.
He gets an assist on the Ovi game winner. He pots a goal as well for a 2-point night. So that was a huge performance by him.
Well, guys, I'll help you out on his name. They're calling him Bovey, so just call him Bovey from now, or little Ovechkin.
Bovey,
I like it.
Yeah, and I think Ovi came up with that name on the spur of the moment. But, when they looked at him, and once again, the Caps are doing something different over the last year, just over a year now. And the players that they're targeting, that, they're looking at their analytics, they're paying them the appropriate amount of money now. They're not going too long with contracts on players that were head scratchers. And Bovey's no different than the rest of these guys as far as what a great pickup at the deadline. And they were very methodical. They had planned the trade deadline for a few months as to what they had to do to open up money, to get Ryan Leonard out of Boston College with the signing bonus and how it works on the rookie entry-level contract, and then realizing they were going to expose Verana, who would probably get picked up or sent to Hershey, and then they needed to add a proven playoff performer. And this is one of those under-the-radar things, because coming into last night, I believe Beauvillier had 31 points in the playoffs in 55 games. And he's had two really nice playoff stretches in his career, and hopefully this is the third. But he was on point every single shift last night. He had so much energy. He was flying. He was a dog out of bone going after the puck. He created scoring chances. And when you think of it, his goal was a result of pucks to the net, get to the paint, slam it home. His goal, Ovechkin's goal, stop at the net, look for the junk, and find it. And you have to score ugly. You have to win ugly. And the Caps did it. It was a great game, top to bottom. And, I still look, even though Montreal came back, the Caps dominated that, should have won it. And in years gone by, they probably wouldn't have won that game, other than in 2018. But they put the pedal to the metal all night long. They didn't wait for the game to come to them. They went after the game. And as I said, they've got a few things to clean up, and they're easy fixes. And when they do that, they'll be a far better team.
Alan, what did you think of the officiating? Carlson was clearly tripped by one of those guys, no call, and then
the Willie hit
and a dead clock line change from Josh Anderson. He just knocked him over. That should have been a 2-minute.
Well, also the Dubois slashing.
The
call,
Dubois
I thought was egregiously
there was
bad.
I thought there were some terrible calls / non-calls last night.
Oh, there were, and that's the unfortunate part of the playoffs, is we end up seeing really bad officiating time and time again. And I don't know if these guys are overwhelmed, and I'll never buy that they have the toughest job in the world. They chose to be referees.
Right.
No one asked them to be. They chose to be referees. They're highly compensated. They get very nice pensions. So I never feel sorry for them, but there was a lot of errors they should have been better, areas they should have been better at. But at the same time, you could say the Caps got away with a few, but I thought the Dubois call was horrible. He was taken out. He fell to the ground, and they called him. I don't know if that was a slash or a trip, but regardless, it should not have been a penalty. And I just look at that. But once again, and there's a little bit of conspirator in me, is that I believe both linesmen were French, and one of the referees was French.
Ooh,
there you go.
Interesting.
And we're playing an original 6 team. I look at that stuff, and there's certain referees that I go, oh, the Caps are screwed tonight. This guy loves to call. There's certain guys that love to call penalties on Russians that aren't penalties on anyone else, especially if they're from Western Canada. So I go into my conspiracy mode on some of these guys.
Now, is that the same reffing crew that will be for the entire series, or do they switch them up?
You know what? I should know that after all of these years, and I hope it's not the same guys. If it is, they have a referee supervisor, and I did not look at who the referee supervisor for the series is last night.
Right.
But typically, most of those guys, I saw one guy's name. I hope I never see him in an arena that I'm in again. Was up in one of the Canadian games, and it was their supervisor. And I hope I never see him doing a Caps game, because they're doomed if he is. But, normally the supervisors will get all over their guys and, about the missed calls and calls they should have made. And they're smarter guys. They're that generation of referee that you could actually speak with. You used to be able to have a back and forth with referees. There's a lot of referees that'll just they'll sneer at you as they call a penalty, or they just put their hand up and they won't talk to you. So it's a very different world come playoff times at who can handle the pressure and who cannot.
How do you feel about game 2 tomorrow night? What do the Caps have to do much better, especially in that third period?
Well, I think, the biggest thing is just the little puck management things, and we'll probably highlight that in our pregame show tomorrow night, but simple little plays of getting the puck out of your zone versus, toss it in the middle of the ice and letting the other team stay alive for 25, 35 seconds of momentum. And just get the puck over the blue line when you're getting it out of your zone. You've got to find a way, and you can't do anything but like throw a puck between your legs to nobody. And then at the offensive zone blue line, and Locker's been saying this is, he's been on TV about 100 years now, but Locker always talks about blue line management and throwing the puck in correctly at the offensive zone blue line. When you don't have a play, if you can't put it tape to tape, and you're not going to beat, there's 2 guys there, there's 3 guys there. Get it down deep on the boards, keep it on the wall, and get it below the hash marks, preferably below the red line. And then that way you can get a transitional defense where you get all 5 guys in the middle of the ice and you take the game away like that. So it's a simple little puck management plays. The game is smarter than ever. It's faster than ever. And when players don't do it, they're cheating the game a little bit. They've got to get the cheat out of some of them, and they stick to the basics, the hockey 101 of it. And sometimes it's better to play it safe. There's other times you can go for it. But in those instances, you got to be correct at all times at your blue line plays, getting it out and getting it in.
Alan, thanks as always. Good to catch up. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Yep, you
all
too,
right,
man.
Thank you,
Alan May, Capitals analyst on Monumental Sports Network. Be sure to watch him throughout the series.
By the way, did you guys? I think Locker and Joe B were talking about last night, but the young defenseman for Montreal, Lane Hudson. Do you see how much he looks like Ovi?
I did not. I did not see that comp.
Yeah,
his brother's in the Cap system.
Hudson,
yeah. Yep.
He could be Ovi's younger brother.
I did not know that they were like doppelgangers.
It's kind of
I'll have
crazy.
to look at it side by side.
Yeah, I'll show you the picture of him.
Cool. Alan May, thanks again to him. Ryan Wilson, he'll join us coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll break down the NFL draft with him in just over 20 minutes.